Over the past 7 months, I've been doing a video series where I try to predict the WrestleMania 40 card way too early. I try to predict the WrestleMania 40 card 2 months ago, 4 months ago, and even 7 months ago. And today is the start of the series finale, because over the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be reviewing those predictions videos to see how accurate I was or how terribly off I was. We're gonna go through every single match that I predicted for the show, and I'm gonna give you the logic as to why I made those predictions. So you see, Triple H, you're not the only one that does long-term storytelling. We do some long-term booking here as well. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And I wanna take a minute to thank you all for being maniacs and helping me push past 200,000 subscribers. 1 month ago, I made it my goal to get to 200,000 subscribers before night 1 of WrestleMania. But you also need to understand that my original goal when I started YouTube in May 2023 was to have 10,000 subscribers by May 2024. And I think it's pretty clear to say that you guys blew that out of the water. So genuinely, thank you. It genuinely is because of you that I'm able to do this as a full-time wrestling content creator. So genuinely, thank you. I guess the next journey is 300,000 subscribers. So I'll see you then. All right, let's get to the video. All right, so let's start with my first prediction from 7 months ago. I predicted that Gunther was going to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, if you think back to the hype to the Royal Rumble, it was starting to potentially come true because it was Gunther that confronted Seth Rollins prior to the Royal Rumble and created the rumblings that it was going to be Gunther to win the Royal Rumble and go on and challenge Seth Rollins. I also genuinely believed there was no way that they were going to do back-to-back Royal Rumble winners, which really only left, in my eyes, Gunther and CM Punk as the only option to win the 2024 Royal Rumble, and CM Punk wasn't there then, so to me it was just logical to go with Gunther. Remember, this is still months before CM Punk even I think he might still be in AEW actually. But yeah, it made sense at the time. I don't think that this is my most ridiculous prediction. I feel like, you know, when I look back at this, there's logic, it makes sense. At the time especially, I think it was a very wise option to go with Gunther. Obviously, things have changed dramatically. Gunther didn't win the Royal Rumble. Gunther is still the Intercontinental Champion. CM Punk came back. Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble again. So everything that I had predicted just was completely tossed out the window, and we didn't even come close to getting Gunther versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And it's kind of a shame because I feel like Gunther versus Seth Rollins would have been absolute fireworks. Okay, I can't take the L on this one because this one was a match that we were all predicting and at the time hoping for. LA Knight at this moment in early September 2023 is starting to get hot. This is the build up to Payback. This is when John Cena had just come back to the WWE. This is when LA Knight is starting to build himself up as the main eventer, and I genuinely believe that by WrestleMania he would be contending for gold. And I did predict, by the way, back then that Logan Paul was gonna go into WrestleMania as the United States champion, so I'm gonna give myself at least a little bit of points for the early prediction that Logan Paul would be the US champion back then. And although a lot of people were clamoring for LA Knight to get some gold, I could have never predicted that he was gonna get a world title opportunity at Crown Jewel. It was nowhere near in my bingo card all the way back 7 months ago that he would even get a crack at Roman Reigns once, let alone twice. I thought that his destiny at that time was to contend for a mid-card title, which, you know, when you include Logan Paul into the equation, it's not necessarily a bad place to be either. But yeah, this was a match that a lot of us were predicting, a lot of us were wanting, but they didn't even really come close to getting to this. Instead, we're gonna be getting LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and we're gonna be getting a triple threat for the United States champion, with the champion Logan Paul taking on Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Again, at the very least, I predicted that Logan Paul was going to go into WrestleMania as the United States champion. Yeah, here we go. I finally got one right. To be fair, this was probably the easiest one to predict because the writing was on the wall for so long. At this moment in time, they had done everything in their power to keep Becky Lynch away from Rhea Ripley. They even sent Becky Lynch down to NXT. Becky Lynch was embroiled in a feud for a really long time with Trish Stratus during this time, and it looked like that feud was never ending. So my logic at the time was that they were going to do everything to keep Becky Lynch away by giving her other feuds, and they were just gonna feed different women to Rhea Ripley until we can finally get to the big money match for the women in Monday Night Raw, which was Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. And I ended up being correct, and I ended up being correct as well that it was gonna be for the world title, and ended up being correct that Rhea Ripley was gonna hold into WrestleMania. So I'm giving myself full 100% points on that one. All right, this one I was not even in the realm of being close. I had predicted that Gunther was going to lose his Intercontinental Championship to Sheamus at some point between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania to free up Gunther to win the Royal Rumble and go off and face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I figured if Sheamus was the one to dethrone Gunther, that an Intercontinental Championship match with the, at the time, very directionless Drew McIntyre for the IC title would at the very least be a banger of a match. And it did make sense to predict that Sheamus was going to be the one to dethrone Gunther, because Sheamus is the one that's been vying for the Intercontinental Championship for probably the longest out of all of Gunther's opponents, and it would have done him the most good in terms of his legacy as a Grand Slam champion to win the Intercontinental Championship. And on top of that, there's very few people that I believe can bear the burden of beating Gunther for the IC Championship, and one of those people in my eyes was Sheamus. And I figured, hey, put the two best friends that kept putting on classic, as they would say, banger after banger after banger at WrestleMania, so we can get another big meaty slap fest at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship again. Look, it's not the worst prediction, but we weren't even close. Do you want even more wrestling content? Because you could be getting more wrestling content over on patreon.com/SantiZap, where I post the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews. You're gonna get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else. In fact, the most recent episode is already up there and not available anywhere else. So if you want it, go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZap. It's the top link in the description or the link in the pinned comment. There's already 500 people over on Patreon. So come join that community if you need even more wrestling content. Okay, done with the sellout. Back to the video. God damn it. This was gonna happen. This was definitely the plan all along. This was going to happen at WrestleMania. It was definitely going to be Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair. Now, at the time, I had predicted that it was gonna be for the WWE Women's Championship. As the months went by, I would have predicted that this match was still gonna happen, but not for the championship, and it would have just been to figure out who the best female on Friday Night SmackDown is. But at the time, Io Sky was still a brand new champion, as she had just cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase. Damage Control and Io Sky weren't particularly booked very strong during this time 7 months ago, so I figured that either Charlotte or Bianca Belair was gonna win the title off of Io Sky, and that was gonna be the main event for the SmackDown side of the women's division. I'm still confident that this was the plan. It would have happened had it not been, of course, for Destiny stepping in and ruining this match, because Charlotte Flair would go on to tear her ACL, just shred her knee entirely, and be out for about 8 months. And looking back at this happening, this sucks, because right now Bianca Belair is directionless going into WrestleMania, when in my eyes she absolutely shouldn't be, when she's arguably the biggest star in the entirety of the women's division on not just SmackDown, but all of WWE. So I think that this was a very good prediction that fate and destiny just came and slapped me across the face and said, nah, not today, kid. Or maybe like Hulk Hogan, oh, that's not gonna work for me, brother. Here's another one. To be fair, this was another easy one to predict. We have Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Now, back then, I had predicted this was going to be a City of Brotherly Love street fight. It doesn't look like it's going to be a street fight, but it's already been announced that we are going to be getting Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. This was also a dream match of theirs that they had been talking about, not even just this year, but like they had discussed this potential dream match for the past several years during podcasts and interviews. So to me, it was an inevitability with how strong their star power was at this time. You have to remember, this is in the height of main event Jey. He had just lost to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. He had just joined Monday Night Raw, and Jimmy Uso had just gotten a brand new theme song and had confronted John Cena. So both of these guys, their star power when I made this video was through the roof, and they maintained their star power for the most part throughout the year, at least enough to still warrant this match. So once again, go me. Oh, come on. I can't even justify this one. Even in the video, I'm like, look, this is just something that I want to see. John Cena versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, in hindsight, just makes absolutely zero sense. technically, this could still happen. There's not a 0% chance that this happens. We have heard that John Cena wants to participate at WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. Maybe this ends up being an impromptu match, so we might have to come back to this video, and if you're calling me an idiot for predicting this, and this ends up happening as an impromptu match at WrestleMania, I expect you to come back to this video, God damn it, apologize. Apologize! I think my logic here was that John Cena had just come back to the WWE, and it looked like there was going to be no end in sight to the writer strike and the actor strike that was happening during that time that allowed John Cena to be part of the WWE family for all of those months throughout the fall months. And I figured, you know what, there were also rumors at the time that Stone Cold Steve Austin might be gearing up for a WrestleMania match. John Cena's there. This would be the battle of generations, the ruthless aggression era and the PG era versus the Attitude era. Look, it wouldn't have been good. It would have been quick, but the star power would have been there enough to make us care. But look, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure I was tripping when I made this prediction. 7 months ago, I predicted Carlito versus Rey Mysterio. You have to remember a couple things. Carlito had been confirmed signed to the WWE, but he hadn't returned officially to the WWE yet. So when I made this prediction, he wasn't a member of the LWO. He wasn't a babyface. He was just this imaginary figure that we knew was eventually going to come back to the WWE. My prediction was that he was going to join the LWO, be a babyface, and he would then betray Rey Mysterio, setting up this match at WrestleMania. They basically did that storyline, but with Santos Escobar instead of Carlito. I couldn't have predicted that they were gonna bring back Carlito as a full-time babyface with a babyface theme song, because that's just not Carlito. To this day, I still don't think that repackaging has worked. So my idea and my thought process, I think, was in the right place. I at the very least, I was playing the same sport. I'm in the same neighborhood with this prediction, but they just decided to go with Santos Escobar instead of Carlito. So I don't think this is the worst prediction, really. I kind of got this one right because I did say that there was going to be a split in Damage Control. There was going to be a power struggle between Io and Bayley and you know, the other members of Damage Control. There was going to be like a Damage Control civil war. But because of the star power of both Bianca and Charlotte, I figured that this was not going to be for the title, that this was just going to be a grudge match that didn't need a title. But it is happening at this year's WrestleMania. It's just for the WWE Women's Championship, and they gave Bayley the Royal Rumble victory. At that time, with how poorly booked Damage Control was and how weak Bayley kept looking at every single show and every single feud that she was a part of, it didn't even cross my mind that she could potentially win the Royal Rumble. So, good prediction, just my thought process was a little bit off. Look, I'm gonna defend this one. I feel like my logic here was sound. I just couldn't predict that Riddle would get his ass fired before WrestleMania, because Riddle, at this time, he's hot. He had just come back from this hiatus, and Randy Orton at this time was still injured and was projected to come back still in a few months. He ended up coming back a couple months later at the 2023 Survivor Series, but by the time that Randy Orton actually came back, Riddle had already been fired. My logic here was gonna be that Randy was going to come back to the WWE, reunite with RK Bro, but then at some point or another, the Viper strikes, he turns heel on Riddle, boom, there's our WrestleMania feud. They really liked each other. I figured Randy would love to work with Riddle at WrestleMania. To me, it seemed like a super easy silver platter feud right there, but Riddle went and got his ass fired. So, but the prediction isn't bad. Next up, my prediction included Brock Lesnar versus Solo Sikoa. We know that this is impossible because Brock Lesnar has been Thanos snapped out of existence in the WWE record book, so this is obviously not going to happen. Solo Sikoa doesn't have a scheduled match, and now Solo Sikoa's star power has waned significantly ever since squashing John Cena at Crown Jewel. Here was my logic back then, because I don't think that it's bad logic. My logic was that we were going to get, and I guess this kind of spoils this video, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes again, but to level out the playing field, these other people from Cody Rhodes' past, some allies, were gonna come back and help nullify the other members of the bloodline, like Jay going up against Jimmy, and Brock Lesnar, who less than a month before I made this video had shook Cody Rhodes' hands, acknowledged him, not this way, but like raised his hand and said, okay, you're a pretty badass kid. I figured that they were going to play into that and make Brock Lesnar another one of those Avengers style, you know, assemble moments where he was going to come in and step forward and be the one to take out Solo Sikoa during WrestleMania so that he wouldn't get involved during the main event. So I don't think it's terrible logic. I don't think it would have been terrible booking either, but obviously a lot has changed since I made that initial prediction, so this is wildly off. I'm pretty sure I just sort of threw this out there. Like, I don't think I have any logic here. What I will say is that holy ballsack, Santi. I can't believe I had the balls to predict that Judgment Day was going to continue to hold these tag titles into WrestleMania. That's probably the most impressive thing out of this prediction because, yeah, Finn Balor and Damian Priest are still undisputed tag team champions, and they're going to be defending the tag titles in a ladder match against five other teams in what's going to be a car wreck of a title match. And it does include potentially Alpha Academy. Actually, no, that's a lie. They lost the qualification, so they're out. But honestly, I kind of just picked Alpha Academy here because Gable was kind of hot at this time. His feud with Gunther was happening, and I figured, okay, whatever. This could be a good match. The prediction honestly has no logic. It's just, okay, sure, let's throw these guys in together. But I remember when I made this video initially that people were clowning me in the comments saying, oh, Judgment Day is not gonna hold the titles that long. Where are you at now? Where are you at now, Dad? Sorry, projecting some other insecurities there. But hey, that's not a bad prediction then. You know what's funny? I did predict Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, but I went back and watched the video and I said these words. This doesn't need Cody Rhodes to win the Royal Rumble again. You can get to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns without the need of Cody Rhodes winning the Rumble, which is why I felt so confident in choosing Gunther as the Royal Rumble winner in that predictions video 7 months ago. Oh my God, how wrong I was, because Cody Rhodes did win the Royal Rumble again, relegating Gunther to continuing to be the Intercontinental Champion and setting up once again Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. Obviously, this is well before The Rock even begins to sniff a WrestleMania return, let alone a WWE return. But I did get this right. This is happening. It's just one of the 2 matches that is happening, including these guys. So even though it was the easiest prediction in my opinion, because to me, the way that WrestleMania 39 ended, clearly served up a sequel to happen in next year's WrestleMania. So I'm not particularly proud of this one because I feel like any of us could have predicted this one. All right, folks, that's it. We're going to be doing 2 more of these videos over the next couple of weeks. So hang tight. But thank you so much for watching this. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about my predictions from 7 months ago, but I'm done. Get out of here.